Hello gamers, this is Sai, and welcome back to Which Way Games. What would gamers wish for if they found a magical lamp?
Cookie! Nom 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 nom. Oh, nom 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 nom.
And with that being said, let's get on with the video. Nowadays, gamers have the choice of the latest games to play, usually experience new modes of gameplay with the ever-evolving technology within the world of gaming. But if you look through the many gaming series over the years, some have been forgotten through time, while others have been repressed into the unlockable vault within gamers' brains. However, one gaming series that always seems to come back time and time again is the Prince of Persia series. The original Prince of Persia was released back in 1989 and was created by Jordan Mechner. Being classed as a puzzle platformer, Prince of Persia influenced other games to take up its unique style of gameplay through the years, such as Another World, Flashback, and the PlayStation's Abe's Odyssey. When released, the original Prince of Persia was critically acclaimed, but it didn't have the success right away, especially in America. But over time, it developed a following which resulted in several ports over different gaming systems. And following this success, a sequel was made called Prince of Persia 2: The Shadow and the Flame. Prince of Persia 2 was a bigger success than the original, that a third installment was announced and would be on the way. However, this is where the fairy tale started to come to an end when Prince of Persia 3D was released in 1999, 10 years after the original. When released, it was met with mixed reviews, with some critics complaining about unresponsive controls, a difficult camera, and rough character models. Sadly, it would be several years before the Prince of Persia franchise would make a return due to the poor response of Prince of Persia 3D. But there was a shining beacon of hope for gamers thanks to developer Ubisoft, who then bought the Prince of Persia license. Ubisoft are widely known for their Assassin's Creed franchise, but more on that later. Today I'll be looking at the first game in the Sands of Time trilogy. This would be Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. With Jordan Mechner not willing to return to the Prince of Persia series due to poor experiences with Prince of Persia 3D, it was left to Ubisoft Montreal to develop the new game. They happened to be a year into development of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell and decided to create some prototype gameplay but have the unnamed prince as the main character. Ubisoft invited Mechner to the development studios, and after showing him their concepts as well as ideas, Mechner was so impressed decided to come on board as a creative consultant. Eventually he would become more and more involved with his new Prince of Persia game, right up to the point that he became the game's designer as well as its writer. And like always, let's go back to the... What the hell? Something oddly familiar about that guy. Anyway, like always, let's go back to the past to see how Prince of Persia: Sands of Time was advertised.
We'd all take more risks if we could control time. Rewind time. Freeze time. Controlling time is the ultimate power. Use it wisely. Rated T for Teen. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
The story of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time begins in 9th century Persia with the prince telling a story to an unknown listener. It is rumoured that a special substance known as the Sands of Time has the ability of stopping death and ultimately allowing one to live forever. The prince and his army are tricked by an evil vizier of a local Maharaja who tells them that the Sands of Time are stored within the Grand Palace. Attacking the palace, the prince finds the Dagger of Time as well as an Hourglass of Time and decides to take the Maharaja's daughter called Farah as a gift for the Sultan of Azad. While in the presence of the Sultan, the vizier tricks the prince into releasing the Sands of Time, turning everyone into monsters apart from the prince, the vizier and Farah. Obviously envious that the prince wields the Dagger of Time, the vizier attempts to take it by force, but the prince escapes along with Farah and decides to undo all the wrong he has caused, as well as doing what he can to prevent the Sands of Time from covering the entire world. Gameplay for Prince of Persia Sands of Time has gamers controlling the unnamed prince as he navigates his way through the palace of the Sultan. Initially starting alongside Farah, there will be times where the two will be separated, but most of the time the game has the two working alongside each other, often dealing with puzzles and other elements of that nature. Although gamers will have to make sure that Farah doesn't die as the game will end. A Farah can usually hold her own and is quite useful. The camera view is from a third person perspective, allowing gamers to take in the gorgeous environments as well as allowing them to plan the best route to some of the secret areas. Although from time to time the camera angle will change to give the game a cinematic feel, especially with some chase sequences. Controlling the prince is relatively simple, as he can move in all directions and movement feels extremely fluid, with an easy learning curve for the many acrobatic abilities of the prince, such as climbing, swinging on bars and leaping from pillar to pillar. Gamers will be experts in no time. There are parts of the game that will have gamers on edge, especially when dealing with the platforming sections where a wrong move will send the prince plummeting to his demise. With this move, a lot of gamers will do what comes naturally to them. They lean forward. Now, one of the biggest moves that gamers will come to learn within Prince of Persia Sands of Time is a wall running ability that's been seen in many other games, including films, over the years. With this mechanic, the prince can traverse over large open pits that could be filled with spikes, or worse, the bottomless pit of death that has plagued all games since the beginning of video games. As for the battle system in Prince of Persia Sands of Time, this is fantastic, as it takes advantage of the agility of the prince, but too much jumping around can lead to enemies getting the upper hand, but usually at the fault of the gamer. Once battling is mastered though, the prince is unstoppable, but blocking is always advised when dealing with large groups of enemies. Now, there is a link between Prince of Persia Sands of Time and Assassin's Creed. This link originated out of the idea for the following sequel to Prince of Persia Sands of Time. And with the next generation of consoles on the way, Ubisoft requested that Ubisoft Montreal take the helm. With improved console technology, Ubisoft Montreal wanted to take the Prince series into a more open world setting and be able to render larger spaces and have more game characters on the screen at once. The initial idea for the story was for the unnamed prince to be next in line for the throne, but ultimately worked within the secret society of assassins. This idea of assassins led to yet another story where gamers would control an assassin who would be a bodyguard for the unnamed prince and had to escort the prince throughout missions while protecting him. Eventually this idea was dropped as Ubisoft weren't happy to have a game set in the Prince of Persia series and not be able to play as the prince. This then led to Ubisoft Montreal changing the title to Assassin's Creed and keep with the idea of assassins and their secret organisation that they come from. And so the Assassin's Creed series was born that has led to over 11 sequels and has possibly more Assassin's Creed games on the way. Coming back to the story, after the prince has navigated the palace of Azad with the help of Farah, they come across the hourglass that will contain the Sands of Time. Being ambushed by the evil vizier, the prince and Farah barely escape with their lives. Tired from the brush with death, the prince needs to rest and falls asleep. Upon awakening, he notices that Farah and the dagger are missing. Immediately in pursuit, the prince manages to follow Farah and miraculously catches her from death. Now, having to deal with the onslaught of monsters, Farah sacrifices herself to save the prince. And while he mourns this loss, the evil vizier offers the prince eternal life in exchange for the dagger. In a mixture of sadness as well as anger, the prince refuses and plunges the dagger into the hourglass, reversing the events that have transpired throughout the game. With time rewound to the point before the attack on the Maharaja's palace, the prince has retained all his memories of what has happened and still is in possession of the dagger. The prince then immediately warns Farah of the treacherous vizier, who has decided to kill them both for the dagger. The vizier and the prince fight, but the vizier loses this battle and is ultimately killed. With the dagger in his hand, the prince returns it to Farah, and when he leaves the palace, mentions a private word that Farah had mentioned to him while on the adventure that never happened. Obviously stunned by this, Farah is left amazed as well as shocked about the story the prince had just told her. It was a story, wasn't it? When released, Prince of Persia Sands of Time was a huge success. Proving to be a hit with gamers, a further 2 sequels were put into development, and this entire series will come to be known as the Sands of Time trilogy. The following 2 games will go on to explain more about the prince and the repercussions of his actions with the Sands of Time, which I'll return to in future videos. Overall, Prince of Persia Sands of Time is an enjoyable game to play, with fluid controls, a great and easy to use battle system, as well as looking fantastic with its fantasy inspired locations that truly captured 9th century Persia. Over the years, the Prince of Persia series was rebooted and even had a film made about the franchise. And now with technology getting to the point where anything is possible within the gaming world, it would be great to see a return to the Prince of Persia series. perhaps setting a game within an open world Persia where gamers could explore and unlock the hidden secrets found within his fantasy land. Anyway, come back next time where the son of Zeus has to prove himself to be a god and be able to return back to Mount Olympus. But he can't do this alone. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.